꿀템 9개의 무료 배포 중입니다. 믹마할 때 레알 꿀이에요. 빈티지, 딜레이, 페이저 등 다양한 이펙터가 들어있습니다. 시티팟, 로파이, 레트로 장르 하시는 분들이 사용하면 좋아요. 조작도 간단해서 초보분들이 쓰기 좋습니다. 피아노, 신스, 베이스 등 모두 걸 수 있어요. 다운받는 법은 해당 꿀템 선택 후 본인 OS에 맞춰 받아 사용하면 됩니다. 스케일러2가 50% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
You can hear that when I bring the mix percentage down to mix in some of the dry signal with the wet process signal, it adds a chorusing effect, and that's because the tape emulation is going to add wow and flutter and natural pitch variation, and so when you mix that pitch variation back in with the raw unprocessed pitch, it's going to create a sort of pitch modulation and chorusing. The different tape modes seem to add filtering to the sound source.
RVox가 77% 할인 중입니다. 전 제품이 29.9달러예요. 오토튠, EQ, 컴프, 리버브 등 모든 제품의 가격이 동일합니다. 2+2 이벤트 중이에요. 믹마 고민이셨던 분들은 지금 득템하면 좋습니다. RVox는 레알 보컬 미신 꿀템이에요. 간단한 조작으로 사운드의 존재감을 살릴 수 있습니다. 웨이브스 울티메이트 1년 구독 20% 할인 중입니다. 웨이브스 에센셜 1년 구독 20% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
Right about there seems good. Now, let's dial back the output ceiling. In some circumstances, you may find you prefer a bit more control over a compressor's parameters versus the all-in-one compression of the RVox. This verse is a good example.
It's the all of the naysayers who didn't want me for living oddly. Bass drive stays live in my blood. Better go and have the inked up bomb.
Seeing how the verse is processed and already being compressed a fair amount already, it really just needs a little gentle transparent leveling. You can get a more transparent compression by being able to adjust the attack, release, threshold, and ratio settings independently. Consequently, this would be a good time to use the RVox's cousin, the RComp, to dial in compression a bit more precisely.
Who didn't want me for living oddly. Bass drive stays live in my blood. Better go and have the inked up bomb me. The story been an uphill climb. It's the all of the naysayers who didn't want me for living oddly. Bass
잔딘 에센셜 베이스가 40% 할인 중입니다. 올해 최저가예요. 레알 베이스 꿀템입니다. 다양한 카테고리의 사운드가 들어있어요. 스타일과 캐릭터를 골라 본인 곡에 더욱 알맞게 연주할 수 있습니다. 락, 가요, 밴드 음악 하시는 분들이 사용하면 좋아요. 모도 베이스2가 75% 할인 중입니다. 트랙션 여름 세일이 최대 40% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
Dan Dean Essential Bass features 6 of Dan's most prized instruments, all meticulously sampled by the man himself. In this video, we'll familiarise ourselves with the user interface while exploring features such as effects processing, articulations, and more. Installing via the Download Manager is quick and easy. On the left side, make sure All is selected under Software and that Content and Plugins are checked under Categories. Next, find Dan Dean Essential Bass and click Install. Then find Content Installers 1 and 2 and install those. Upon completion, both plugin and content are installed automatically. You can now go ahead and launch your DAW. The first time you load Dan Dean Essential Bass in your host, it will automatically begin installing the content.
뮤가 67% 할인 중입니다. 올해 최저가예요. 레알 컴프 꿀템입니다. 트렌디하고 깔끔한 사운드 원하시는 분들이 쓰면 좋습니다. 간단한 조작으로 드럼 댐핑감을 살릴 수 있어요. 보컬 믹싱할 때 사용해도 꿀입니다. 웨이스 MM-1이 50% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
So now we have punchier, more ever-present drums than we did before, and all we need to do is tweak that one input signal. Now we do have a number of other presets here. We're obviously on the drum bus here. Let's try dynamic glue. You can see some of the parameters are all tweaked out here. And again, we just want to move the input dial to get that -3. So here, because the input signal is already pretty strong, we're actually getting way more than desired to begin with. And we can actually change that or fix that by adjusting the threshold. So here it's a pretty subtle effect, but that's because we don't have a full drum bus. We don't have hi-hats. We don't have upper harmonic content and a bunch going on to be able to smooth it out and glue it together. So that's why we're not hearing a big change there. Perhaps we'll use this on the master chain in a little bit to better hear that. So as you can see here, we've got drum bus, guitar, masters, and vocals. You know, I said
리퍼가 61% 할인 중입니다. 멜로디 꿀템이에요. 간단한 조작으로 다양한 패턴을 만들 수 있습니다. 피치, 벨로시티, 비트 등을 조절해 본인 곡에 알맞은 라인을 쉽고 빠르게 만들 수 있어요. EDM, 힙합, R&B 장르에 쓰기 좋습니다. 사이퍼드라이브가 40% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
some of those columns at random and add a value at random. However, I do have control over the density range. If I come over here and bring it down to 2, and then hit random, it's never going to go above 2. It's going to be between 1 hit or 2 hits. Or if I come in here and manually make some decisions, like for example, I know that I'll never really want a roll to happen unless it's towards the end. If I make a change here and I want it to always be there no matter what, never randomize again, not use the range, not use any randomization feature, while it's selected here, I can hit the lock button. And now no matter how many times I change the pattern, this one will always only be the only one that rolls 2 times. And that works the same way with velocity. Okay, and duration, and pitch. Perfect. So that's the other new feature, which is very, very powerful. Next, what I want to do is move on to R2. And again, we can change up the key if we want, but let's keep it in the same key as R1. I'm going to do G minor. Let's come in here and
Cubase Pro 13이 50% 할인 중입니다. 올해 최저가예요. 대박 세일입니다. 미디 작곡할 때 쓰기 좋은 시퀀서예요. 작업에 필요한 다양한 기능이 포함되어 있습니다. 미디, 오디오 편집 등 모든 걸 할 수 있는 툴이에요. 초보자 강추합니다. 스타인버그 여름 세일이 최대 50% 할인 중입니다. 저렴할 때 득템하세요.
Editor, MIDI editing reaches new levels of flexibility. Switch between parts, edit multiple tracks, and always have a full overview of even ultra complex arrangements. Let's talk vocals. We've got something special for you. Vocal Chain. Vocal Chain has all the tools you need to create your own professional polished vocal sound, from compression, de-essing, and dynamic EQ to widening, delays, and reverbs. If you're looking to craft your next chord progression, the new chord pads will be your friend. Creative chord progressions are now a breeze thanks to the new presets and the major chord pads overhaul. Iconica Sketch is your Cubase orchestra right out of the box.